वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारे जय गिरिवरधारी। जय यशोदानन्दना जय व्रज जनारञ्जना। जय यशोदानन्दना जय व्रज जनारञ्जना। जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी। जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी। जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज बिहारी। जय गोपी जना वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारे जय गिरिवरधारी। जना वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी। जय यशोदानन्दना जय व्रज जनरञ्जना। जय यशोदानन्दना जय व्रज जनरञ्जना। जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी। तीरवनचारी जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी। Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र शतश्री श्रीमद His Divine Grace Abhay Charnaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की कलयुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की श्री श्री राधा गोविंद देव की श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की श्री श्री गौनताय की श्रील प्रभुपाद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपाकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः कृष्णे स्वधामोपगते धर्मज्ञानादिभिः सह कलौ नष्टदृशाम् एषा पुराणार्को धुनोदितः. Hare Krishna, we are reading from Shrimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4, Sati quits her body, and verse number 14. 14. Hare Krishna. यद्वैयक्षरं नाम गिरेरितं नृणाम्. Word for word? Okay. यद् द्विअक्षरं नाम गिरा ईरितं नृणाम् यद्वै अक्षरं नाम गिरेरितं नृणाम् सकृत् प्रसंगात् अघम् आशु हन्ति तत् सकृत् प्रसंगात् अगमाशु हन्ति तत्. पवित्र कीर्तिम तम अलंघ्य शासनम पवित्र कीर्तिम तमलंघ्य शासनम भवान अहो द्वेष्टि शिवम शिवेतरः भवानहो द्वेष्टि शिवं शिवेतर यद्वै अक्षरं नाम गिरेरितं नृणाम् सकृत्प्रसङ्गादगमाशु हन्ति तत् पवित्रकीर्तिं तमलङ्घ्य शासनम् भवानहो द्वेष्टि शिवं शिवेतर यद्वयक्षरं नाम गिरेरितं नृणाम् सकृत्प्रसङ्गादगमाशु हन्ति तत् पवित्रकीर्तिं तमलङ्घ्य शासनम् भवानहो द्वेष्टि शिवं शिवेतर Anyone else will try? भवानहो द्वेष्टि शिवं शिवेतर यत् which dvi aksharam consisting of two letters nama named gira iritam merely being pronounced by the tongue nrinam persons sakrit once prasangat from the heart agham sinful activities ashu immediately anti destroys tat that Pavitra Kirtim, whose fame is pure, Tam, him, Alanghya Shasanam, whose order is never neglected, Bhavan, you, Aho, O, Dveshti, envy, Shivam, Lord Shiva, Shiva Itaraha, who are inauspicious. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sati continued, my dear father, you're committing the greatest offense by envying Lord Shiva, whose very name, consisting of two syllables, Shi and Va, purifies one of all sinful activities. His order is never neglected. Lord Shiva is always pure, and no one but you envies him. So Prabhupada's purport. Since Lord Shiva is the greatest soul among the living entities within this material world, his name Shiva is very auspicious for persons who identify the body with the soul. If such persons take shelter of Lord Shiva, gradually they will understand that they are not the material body but are the spirit soul. Shiva means Mangala or auspicious. Within the body, the soul is auspicious. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. This realization is auspicious. As long as one does not realize his identity as the soul, whatever he does is inauspicious. Shiva means auspicious, and devotees of Lord Shiva gradually come to the platform of spiritual identification. But that is not all. Auspicious life begins from the point of spiritual identification. But there are still more duties. One has to understand one's relationship with the Supreme Soul. If one is actually a devotee of Lord Shiva, he comes to the platform of spiritual realization. But if he is not intelligent enough, then he stops at that point, only realizing that he is spirit soul, Aham Brahmasmi. If he is intelligent enough, however, he should continue to act in the way of Lord Shiva. For Lord Shiva is always absorbed in the thought of Vasudeva. As previously explained, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. Lord Shiva is always in meditation on the lotus feet of Vasudeva, Sri Krishna. Thus, the auspicious position of Lord Shiva is realized if one takes to worship of Vishnu. Because Lord Shiva says in the Shiva Purana that the topmost worship is worship of Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva is worshipped because he is the greatest devotee of Lord Vishnu. One should not, however, make the mistake of considering Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu to be on the same level. That is also an atheistic idea. It is also enjoined in the Vaishnaviya Purana that Vishnu or Narayana is the exalted supreme personality of Godhead, and no one should be compared to him as equal. Even Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, even Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, not to speak of other demigods. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदवनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण Before I begin, I would like to seek the blessings of His Lord's Jayadvaita Maharaj and His Grace Ramrai Prabhu, and all the assembled Vaishnavas. Of course, I have no qualification to speak in front of such exalted souls, so I'm just here to share some thoughts in line with what Sri Prabhupada is speaking in the purport. So, translation says, Sati continued, "My dear father, you're committing the greatest offense by envying Lord Shiva, whose very name, consisting of two syllables, Shri and Va, purifies one of all sinful activities. His order is never neglected. Lord Shiva is always pure, and no one but you envies him." So, yesterday we had gone for book distribution in New Jersey area. So, we came across a person, and he was a nice gentleman, owner of a restaurant, and he was from Gujarat. So he was very happy when he saw some devotees entering the shop, entering the restaurant. So he invited us and he said, "You can have dinner for free." And later on, of course, we did not take the dinner, but later on, as we asked him for some sponsorship of the Gita, he said he didn't have much because the business is down. But then he said he didn't have much to give because the business was pretty down. But then he said, "Do you know what? Your Srila Prabhupada, he is the one I appreciate the most." And it came to me as a surprise because we just went there, we didn't introduce ourselves, nothing. But he said, "Your Srila Prabhupada who is someone whom I appreciate the most because he is not preaching only to the Gujaratis, because he's from Gujarat." And he said, um, he's not preaching only to the Gujaratis, but he is the one who took this message of the Bhagavad Gita across the globe. And he's preaching this message and making the whole world very auspicious. So he said something to that effect. So I was thinking how fortunate we are, just as in this verse it is said, Shiva. If you put together Shiva means Mangala or auspicious, Prabhupada says. So, in this world, everyone wants auspiciousness, isn't it? Generally, people don't travel at certain times because it's inauspicious. They don't do certain things because it's inauspicious, like shaving after sunset, you know. Or some people do things because it is very auspicious. That means maintaining Brahminical standards, or maintaining cleanliness, or looking for particular tithis to do a certain good act. So in this world, there's so much of auspiciousness, calculation with respect to auspiciousness and what is inauspiciousness. But here Shiva is called as auspicious mainly because Shiva is considered to be the pure devotee of Supreme Lord. निम्नगानां यथा गंगा देवानामच्युतो यथा वैष्णवानां यथा शंभु पुराणानामिदं तथा. The 12th canto of Shrimad Bhāgavatam says, of all kinds of rivers, Ganges is the best. Why is Ganges the best? Because it emanates from the toe of Lord Vishnu. And of all the devas, Achyuta is the best because it's Supreme Lord Himself. And of all the Vaishnavas, Shiva is the best. And of all the Puranas, this Purana, Shrimad Bhagavatam, is the best. And why is this Purana, the Bhagavatam, the best? Because it extols the glories of Sri Krishna directly. So, in this way, we see if we want to make our lives auspicious, Bhagavatam instructs, or Sri Prabhupada says in this verse, when we take up the spiritual life, when we start thinking beyond matter, that is when our life truly becomes auspicious. Prabhupada puts a note, sometimes people follow Lord Shiva because Shiva looks like a very austere yogi. And of course, in the name of Shiva, they also take some intoxicants and they say Har Har Mahadev, the name of Shiva. But that is not really auspicious. So if we want to make our lives auspicious, sometimes the Shiva followers only come up to a certain point of Ham Brahmasmi, that I am spirit soul. But that's where it stops. So for complete knowledge, there are two aspects of complete knowledge. The first aspect of complete knowledge is I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. And the second aspect is I'm not any spirit soul wandering in the oblivion. I am spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. Because Krishna himself claims, Mamai Vamsho Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. He says that all these jivas, all these living entities are my eternal parts and parcels, eternally connected. So he takes it personally. He says they are mine, isn't it? So if we have to attain complete knowledge, first aspect is I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. And then as spirit soul, what is my relationship with Krishna? So this is the function of human form of life. We'll see. I mean, of course, many of us know this story. Later on, Daksha gets a goat head, isn't it? And goat head, why goat head? We can say it is very similar to his intelligence, his consciousness. Because he was viewing things with a mundane consciousness. So in this world, when we do not practice spiritual life, life makes a goat out of us, isn't it? Why the foolish goats they stand outside the slaughterhouse in lined up? They don't understand what is coming next. The goat which is way ahead is being taken into the slaughterhouse, be cut into pieces and be sold, whereas other goats are enjoying fresh green grass outside. Just imagine all of us are made to stand outside, lined up outside the slaughterhouse, and we have all been given iPhones, Instagram accounts, iPads. Will we simply stand there knowing that the guy ahead is going to be killed and soon will be my number? Never. What we would do is throw away everything and look for some way to escape, isn't it? But the foolish living entities have today succumbing to the material influence, they have become like goats. And I found Daksha getting a goat head to be similar, I mean, very noteworthy, isn't it? So, therefore, if we really want to make our life auspicious, it starts here by trying to surrender to Sri Krishna. So, what is auspicious? Sometimes auspiciousness can also be considered to be good fortune. And we are all working, or we all expect some good fortune to take place. For example, if we want, for example, if we are a student and we just completed writing an exam, so our good fortune is we expect someone gives us some, somehow I didn't put enough endeavor, but somehow by luck, let me pass this exam. But what is that luck? We say good karma, isn't it? That is good fortune. Or someone is of marriageable age, is thinking, let me get a good wife. That is my good fortune. Or a man today in adult, he is thinking, let me get a good job in society. That is my good fortune. But Sri Prabhupada clarifies in the purport, only good fortune is when we start inquiring about higher subject matters. When we start inquiring about who am I. That's when real good fortune starts. So yesterday when we were coming back, it was about 10:30 at night, 10:30 11. So I was just thinking when we were coming back, we didn't have much to do in the car. Everyone was very sleepy. You cannot read Prabhupada book at that time. And so it was so easy. We all started doing kirtan in the car. And we all started singing until the time we found parking around the temple. Until we got down, we were just singing Krishna's names. So actually, this is good fortune. Why? Because in material life, just imagine coming in a car, returning to your home, and you have nothing else to do. What would people do? Something very mundane. They would maybe watch a movie on their phone. They would probably waste their time on social media, on current news. But we were so fortunate that Sri Prabhupada traveled across the globe to spread auspiciousness or to make the entire world auspicious. And how did Sri Prabhupada make the entire world auspicious? By giving Krishna consciousness. So therefore, Sri Prabhupada is urging us in this purport. Sri Prabhupada is saying that don't just stop thinking that I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. There's much more. Understand who you are. What is your relationship with Krishna? What is the purpose? And therefore, even in this world, people are looking for purpose. Unfortunately, material purpose doesn't satisfy the soul. So, when we look at the pages of Shrimad Bhāgavatam, these are the stories or the historical narrations of people how they attained good fortune in their life. And usually it starts with a Vaishnava walking into our life, a devotee coming into our life. That's when good fortune starts. Before that, what is good fortune? Isn't it? For example, when I was being brought up, so I was usually surrounded by devotional songs and bhajans of different acharyas of Madhva Sampradaya and everything. And it was crystal clear what they're trying to say because it was in my local language. But it never clicked to me that they're actually telling me to take shelter of Krishna. It was only when I read Prabhupada's books, those songs made sense. It was actually when did Prabhupada books come into my life? When a Vaishnava walked into my life. And that Vaishnava he was knocking on the door selling books. Mhm. So we see when a devotee comes into our life, seven headed, shikha, saffron robe, sannyas danda in his hand, and immediately the Indian gentleman ran away from there. So you see, so sometimes in this world we have very materialistic idea of what good fortune is. But real good fortune starts when the Vaishnava walks into our life and opens the bhakti account. And we start investing in that bhakti account. So we find for Dhruva had a material ambition, greater ambition than any person in this material world. He had an ambition to get the kingdom greater than that of his great grandfather Brahma. And that kingdom, actually, in the material world, Brahma's kingdom is the topmost. So, Dhruva's kingdom, he wanted to be better than that. Now, how many of us have such an ambition? We don't have so much of ambition. But he was hard, he was very steadfast. He was very, he wanted at any cost. So, you find he had material ambition. How did material ambition turn into spiritual ambition? Towards the end, he says, Kachin, which in one, Apidivyaratnam, Swamin Kitatos me Brahmanayache. My dear Lord, I've got a sapphire like you, a blue diamond. So I don't look for the broken glasses of that kingdom anymore. So now it's a spiritual ambition. So how did material ambition get converted to spiritual ambition? It was tricked. Yes, a transcendental trick by the intervention of a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, it is mentioned one of the Puranas. I was hearing from a devotee. How did Prahlad become a devotee? Generally, we hear because Narada Muni took Prahlad's mother into his ashram. At the time, demigods were trying to kill her, and then he spoke Bhagavatam. One Purana explains, and I can get reference later. I don't have the reference now. The Purana explains even before that. Actually, once Hiranyakashipu was about to unite with his wife, and when he was proceeding towards the room, from a window, Narada came as a small bird, and in from the window he was whispering, "Vishnu, Vishnu," like that. And then when he was whispering Vishnu, Vishnu, Hiranyakashipu thought, "Who the hell is chanting Vishnu's name?" So immediately he looked at the window, no one was there. Again he was proceeding. Again from the window came the small bird, who was actually Narada, and he started saying, "Vishnu, Vishnu." So then Hiranyakashipu again he took out his sword, but then he saw there was no one. Then in his mind only Vishnu, Vishnu was going on because he's Vishnu Dveshi. He was thinking, who is this chanting Vishnu's name? And then when he went to bedroom and he told his wife, some fool here is chanting Vishnu's name. Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. I hate this name. So in the mind of Kayadu sat the name of Vishnu. And she was thinking of Vishnu. So it became Garbhadan Samskara, unknowingly, and came out later on Prahlad. And therefore Narada tells Indra that the child being born in the womb of Kayadu is not a demon. Because generally it's expected father is a demon. Wife is also a demon. They are not devotees, especially the father. He is Vishnu Dveshi. He will bring up his son as a demon, as a Vishnu Dveshi. But who was born? A Paramamsa Vaishnava, who purified, who actually brought again auspiciousness in the life of Hiranyakashipu, because he was touched by the lotus hands of Narsimhadev. And therefore, daily we chant Hiranyakashipu's name, isn't it? Dalita Hiranyakashipu. We don't chant any other demon's name. Because Narada added auspiciousness by intervening in the life of Prahlad. He brought Prahlad. And Prahlad in turn intervened and intervened and added auspiciousness in the life of Hiranyakashipu. So sometimes we may not understand how this good fortune looks like. For Hiranyakashipu, it was looked very terrible, looked as a murder attempt. I mean, successful murder. But actually, it was not just a murder, it was deliverance. He got to lay on the lap of Narsimhadev. He got to be touched by the Supreme Lord. He got to fight with the Supreme Lord. So he had so much of interaction, isn't it? So this is also Mangal, auspiciousness. So when I was just contemplating on what is really that element which makes my life auspicious, I felt in Krishna consciousness, what Sri Prabhupada has given, he has actually given a process. He has given a process which we can take shelter of. That means our eyes want to see something beautiful. Sri Prabhupada has given the beautiful deities. Our tongues want to keep talking like a chatterbox, but Prabhupada has introduced chanting of the holy name or recitation of the verses of the Shastras. Or the tongue has a tendency to eat as much as possible anything, we don't care whatever it is. So Prabhupada has given Krishna Prasadam. Similarly, we want to hear beautiful music. Prabhupada has given Kirtan. We want to go somewhere and have a community. Prabhupada has given temples. Whatever we have nature or urge towards, Sri Prabhupada has given it. And this is how a Vaishnava, such a perfect preacher, increases auspiciousness across the globe. So, if we want to increase good fortune, the real good fortune in our life is that time when we start taking shelter of the process Prabhupada has given. One thing is to know it and to be there at times, but a deeper aspect is to take shelter, isn't it? That means that shelter is, Prabhupada explains, when do we generally take shelter? When we are put in a forlorn condition. He explains in teachings of Queen Kunti. What is that verse? Tam akinchana kocharam. Anyone knows? Yeah, Janmaishvarya Shutashivi, Edamana Madapuman. He explains those people who have material shelters, for them, they cannot, in one lecture, Prabhupada says, they cannot chant with feeling Jai Radha Madhava. They cannot chant. It will just be a parrot like lip level of chanting because there is no heart deep connection. Because they have so many other shelters, material shelters. And he says the topmost of all material shelters are Janma, high birth, Aishwarya, where a lot of aristocracy or opulence, Janma Aishwarya Shruti, being very learned, and Shri, a handsome body. This becomes an obstacle in the life of of a person, of a living entity, because he seeks to take shelter in that, isn't it? So therefore he says, Janmaishvara Shuta Shrivi Edamana Madhapuman. One becomes very proud thinking that I have this backup. If Krishna consciousness doesn't work, at least this is there. Isn't it? So we generally tell people if you want to join full time, try for 1 year, but you have to leave a job. You cannot side by side continue the job. Because you never experienced taking shelter of Krishna. Taking shelter of Krishna in itself has a very special feeling, in depth feeling, and that comes when we have no other shelter. So, therefore, in that verse, Kunti says, so these people who take material shelters, they cannot approach you, my dear Lord. But who can approach you? Naivarhat abidatum vai tvam akinchana gocharam. You are the property of those people who are casted in a forlorn condition. And therefore, Sri Prabhupada Lilamrit, we read that when Sri Prabhupada was, he was running a business multiple times, some or the other problem would come. Someone would steal his money in the company and Prabhupada is elsewhere. Or there was some fire in his company. Every time Prabhupada would say, Yasya ahamanu grinnami, harishyetattanam shri. This is Krishna's mercy that Krishna is taking away. And he would, I think the last one was that there was fire in the company or someone took a huge amount of money from the company and went away or company was broke. And finally he laughs saying, Yasya ahamanu grinnami. So Vaishnava is able to see Krishna's hand in his life. Isn't it? So Prabhupada has understood. This is Krishna taking away all my shelters so I can completely surrender to Krishna. Of course, Prabhupada is a Paramahamsa devotee. This is nothing for him. Completely taking shelter of Krishna. But you see, when Prabhupada says in one lecture that when for the first time at night he got a dream of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur coming in his dream and telling him, take sannyas. He says it was horrible. That means, how can I take sannyas? I have my family, I have my children, so many things. But then later on, he recollects saying that, but Krishna forcefully took away everything. And this is the best thing that happened in my life. Because the feeling of taking shelter of Krishna, it is superior to any kind of so-called satisfaction, happiness, pleasures found in the material world. Isn't it? And this is the good fortune that devotees give us to take shelter of Krishna. To take complete shelter of Krishna alone, that is dependence on Krishna. And the Vaishnava songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur or Narottam Das Thakur just talks about this. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying like Sarvasvato Mara, everything belongs to you, my Lord, and I'm just a dog. When the master enjoys and gives some remnants here and there for the dog, I'm that dog who relishes with great happiness, he says. And then he also says, when some thief comes, and I'll be there, awake at night, guarding your door. That means I'm happy rendering some service to you. Then another song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that whatever success and failure may come in the path of devotional service, doesn't matter. Success and failure doesn't matter. Because I'm engaged in devotional service, I'm in ecstasy. Sometimes we go out for books go, sometimes books don't go. Sometimes hundreds of books fly, sometimes no books go. Doesn't matter. Because last 10 hours I spent distributing your books, Prabhupada. Isn't it? So in this way, the devotee relishes taking shelter of Guru and Krishna, and that's what is the lifeline or the source, source for the devotees. Taking shelter of Krishna. And this is the good fortune that Prabhupada has given us. A spiritual shelter. And where is the spiritual shelter available? wherever we go. Wherever you go, there is spiritual shelter. And one such example of spiritual shelter I've seen, or which is given in Bhagavatam also in this particular section, is transcendental vision. That is also a good fortune, because sometimes we are fortunate to be able to appreciate Krishna consciousness, whereas people sometimes don't appreciate Krishna consciousness. Yesterday, when we were out for book distribution, there was one person. We told him, we are doing a Gita Dan drive, Gita charity drive. We want to distribute Gitas across the globe. So please take this copy. He said, I cannot touch it because I go home. Now I go to restaurant, to workplace, and I have to cut chicken. Though I am from Kurukshetra, he was saying. I'm from Kurukshetra, the original place where it happened, but I cannot touch the Gita because I'm engaged in sinful activity of cutting chicken. So I said, don't worry, we'll give it to you in a bag. Then he accepted in a bag, Bhagavad Gita and other books. So in this way, you see that sometimes people don't see the transcendental aspect. One other lady was saying that, you guys, I already have a Gita, and of course, as the Indian excuse, I already have the Gita. So she was saying that we don't need the Gita and everything. But then she was not able to see how valuable the Gita is. Then one of the others, they started explaining the importance of Gita, and finally she took, isn't it? Because just by associating with the devotee for some time, like 5-10 minutes, speaking and speaking, she gained a sukriti, that spiritual piety, to actually understand the importance of this book. And therefore, Prabhupada said, just let someone touch the Gita, they will get sukriti, isn't it? So that a spiritual piety comes out in the form of transcendental vision. Many people cannot see. They see, sometimes they look at us as normal book distributors, as normal salesmen. Sometimes when we go to a car approaching them for book distribution, they first of all lock the car. They think we are there to kidnap a child or something. And then they open the window only till certain height. We can only see their eyes. And they just tell us to get out. So in this way, you see that people are so scared because people think we are also materialistic. We are also like businessmen or street hawkers. But there's a big difference. As Prabhupada says, sometimes Guru is sitting on the Vyasasan and there's also a bedbug on the Vyasasan. But bedbug has its place, Guru has its place, his place. The ocean sky difference. So something which is very transcendental requires transcendental vision. So in my life, what I've received, of course, generally speaking, lot to receive yet. But I feel just to be able to appreciate Krishna consciousness is also transcendental vision. And the devotees are given this vision by the Supreme Lord. In the 11th canto, there's a verse, Tata Tata Pashyati Vastu Sukshmam. That means as we practice Krishna consciousness, as Krishna keeps giving realizations in our heart, deeper and deeper or subtler aspects of Krishna consciousness are revealed. Tata Tata Pashyati Vastu Sukshmam. Even the subtlest, Krishna is the subtlest, and Krishna can be revealed by His mercy. For that, a proper practice of Krishna consciousness, which Prabhupada has given, we have to follow. And therefore, we will find in in this section, Daksha is countering a pure devotee of the Lord, Lord Shiva. And everyone knows his position. It's not that it was a hidden thing. He is not the Channa avatar, covered incarnation. He was known to be Vaishnavanam Yathashambhu. Everyone knew the exalted nature of Lord Shiva. But then what happened is Daksha had a mundane vision, isn't it? That mundane or material vision, because of which he only saw the material aspects of Shiva. Oh, he's very dirty. He doesn't take bath regularly. His associates are all ghosts and hobgoblins. Yeah. I think if we are pure devotees, directed by the Paramatma in the heart, then not a problem. But the problem is we are not there. Narada Muni was, Dhruva was very sincere in his heart, and it's not by chance that he met Narada Muni. You know, what is that? A person who is fortunate, who is sincere to attain Krishna, Krishna sends a guru, and by the mercy of guru, one gets Krishna. So Krishna sitting as the Paramatma in the heart, he saw the sincerity of Dhruva because his mother had said, "Go to the forest and meet Lord Vishnu," because all the yogis go there. And if you meet Lord Vishnu can fulfill all your desires. So he was very sincere that I have to meet Lord Vishnu at any cost. And then looking and sensing this desire, Krishna sent a capable spiritual master. So therefore, it's not a by chance or this thing. So therefore, Narada Muni is pure devotee sent by Krishna himself, and he is expert preacher. But if we imitate Narada Muni, we might make a fool out of ourselves. So you want to add? Goes otherwise. It can be even good for great amount of wealth coming from ancestry. But if it's not helping you to surrender to Krishna, it's inauspicious. That's the definition for devotees. So we'll pause here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki, Grantha Shrimad Bhāgavatam ki, Tai Gaur Premanand.